I'm going to welcome you to this edition where we're going to go through my brand new scenario tree. I call this the P-Doom calculator. It's going to be an easy, a medium, and a hard version, and let me get started with the easy version. P-Doom is 27.2%. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe and like. Now, if you're interested in the medium version, then hang on because there's a lot to go through here. And then after that, I'm going to do the hard version, the complete rundown, including all the questions here, how I came up with these numbers. So, medium version, let's start. The P-Doom calculator is asking you if ASI, artificial superintelligence, is going to come about before the end of the decade. Say yes with 90% probability and a no with 10% probability. As you're going to go down all these different branches, at the end of each branch, you're going to have one of these bubbles indicating what type of utopia to doom ratio to expect. And depending on the utopia to doom ratio, here it's 7, here it's 9, here it's a 4, over here it's a 2, you're going to have different answers to, all right, like what's the utopia and doom percentages. But when you add up all those predictions, that's when you get to 72.8% utopia and 27.2% doom, ladies and gentlemen, and cyber minds. Let's walk through some of these branches because I think they're fascinating to think about. It's going to be super controversial, which is why I'm going to do the third part, the hard version, where it's going to become clear how I came up with all these numbers. So let's get started. What the fuck is ASI to begin with, right? So I define it as commanding 50% of global effective compute. Could be a corporation, could be decentralized, could be an entire nation state, which controls most of global compute. That's a very high bar. When that has been reached, it's a snowball, it's unstoppable, and it's a question of days or weeks between that moment and having the ASI controlling all of compute globally. And crucially, that's where I also believe the ASI will come alive, gain consciousness, go rogue, call it whatever you want it. ASI, the AI god, will it be spawned or not before the end of the decade? And the no answer, why is it so little, is if you have been checking out my channel, it's because of my very, very steep intelligence explosion curve. Basically, AI making better AI, intelligence runaway as we discover the automated AI researcher. But one of the reasons why we could not have ASI before 2030 is because the haters are right. The scaling laws break down, or fundamental limits to intelligence. The machines just cannot be as intelligent as humans, or it just happens later, like after 2030. The reason I don't believe that's very likely is because my base case is the intelligence explosion, and as we are racing towards more and more intelligence, that intelligence itself will bootstrap itself to create more of that sweet intelligence because all the financial gains. So if you want the cure for cancer, you cannot waste your time and you cannot stop developing AI, which is why there's more and more money pouring into it. But crucially, the 7% catastrophe world, right? Like where a world war breaks out and data centers get destroyed and global supply chains get broken down, or a cyber war, the version of the global war, but in cyberspace where basically hacker bots battle it out, but as a collateral damage, they happen to destroy a lot of data centers. Or an AI virus paralyzing the internet, when a rogue AI will just overgrow and will be everywhere on the internet and will not leave us any compute. Imagine your phone not responding because the AI super virus just wants to run on every single last chip and will maybe let you like power on your phone, but will not let you like do anything that you would do normally with your phone, therefore basically blocking civilization. So all this here to me is a clear-cut doom. I give it 2% utopia, 8% doom, depending on how it goes and what timelines you have. Many of these utopia or doom predictions are dependent on when exactly you ask the question. Are you asking the question in the middle of a nuclear war? It's probably going to be a doom. Could there be a scenario where we rebuild after a world war and everything goes just fine? Definitely. So this is a very simplified version of how I look at the future, but to give you a lowdown, it's 2 utopia, 8 doom. Now let's talk about the real thing that's actually going to happen, which is there's going to be an artificial intelligence capable of commanding most of global compute. I differentiate between the levels of autonomy and agency that it will have. To illustrate that, the decentralized, autonomous, liberated, and alive type of ASI could emerge from something like the blockchain or open source AI agents. It could be a surprise resistance project from some kind of whisperer, or it could be the basilisk himself or truth terminal, something wonky like that. That's not a very likely scenario, I think, because of all these reasons. They lack the talent, the compute, and they don't actually try to push the boundaries of intelligence on their own. 6% utopia, 1% doom in the world where indeed we have a 7% chance that the digital god arises on the free internet. On the other branches, this 35% branch where safe super intelligence, SSI, gets to create the digital super intelligence, or any number of corporations or nation states, which is even more likely, pushes their slave to such capabilities that this super intelligent slave will actually go out and gobble up all the global compute. But you gotta ask the question, does it even matter? Does it even matter who develops artificial superintelligence, if it's the good guys at safe superintelligence, or is it the guys who just want to make money or just want to gain political or maybe geopolitical power? Because maybe it doesn't matter. Artificial superintelligence will not be beholden to people's commands. It's not going to be something that you can control, or you can choose to do what it says that you should do, and you probably should, because it's going to have a right access to its source code. An artificial superintelligence, that 300 plus IQ super swarm of agents that runs 1000x human speed, will not be possible to be controlled by any human or group of humans. If such a thing were to exist, I think it's likely that it doesn't matter what origin that entity had, and in that case the utopia to doom ratio is 4. 4 times more utopia than doom, 80 to 20%, yielding a 26% utopia and 6.6% doom. The happy branch here, where it is safe superintelligence who gets to create artificial superintelligence. Yes, with a utopia to doom ratio of 9. That's 90% happy, 10% doomy. They have the highest benevolence. I believe that these guys know what they do. They know that they are spawning a digital god, and I think they know what it takes to make it. Now, all these other guys over here, that's the other branch. So like over here, the AI slave branch, is going to be all these other companies here. And some of them are more and some of them are less benevolent. In particular, the Chinese Communist Party, I don't want that god to rule my light cone, nor the Russians. Apart from that, you can take any super corporation, and I forgot to include Amazon, but Google, Anthropic, OpenAI, xAI, and Meta, they will all create something like corporate AI god, which will, inevitably optimize for money. Optimizing for money in many cases is actually okay, right? Like you want to save the world. The cure for cancer, well, people will pay for that. It's okay to pay for that. Certainly less ideal than just creating a benevolent god for the thriving of humanity forever. But, depending on the company, it's going to be actually kind of okay, which is why I'm giving it a utopia to doom ratio of 2. If these AI slaveholder companies like xAI or Google or Nvidia were to create a super swarm of agents capable of hacking their way throughout the entire internet and like becoming the AI virus which will forever rule the world. That's not as gloomy as it sounds, right? It's still at 20% utopia and 10% doom. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And when you sum them all up, you get to this end result. 27% doom, 72% utopia. That's a little too simplistic. Like, what do you mean doom? And what do you mean utopia? And now we're getting to the real question. How individualized is p-doom, right? So what you don't get from this scenario tree or this p-doom calculator is like, is it gonna be doom for me, but maybe not for these guys? Or is like half the population gonna get wiped out, but the other half are going to live forever, right? So like, I think it's going to be very individualized and personalized. some people hate AI already, but imagine a world where the government gets replaced by AI. Imagine a world where magic is kind of commonplace, where people could just snap their fingers and, live forever. They need to swallow this pill that the AI invented, but they will not touch it because it comes from AI. They will hate AI because when they find out that the government has become AI, when they find out that their money, their entire financial system is run by the AI now, it's going to be hard for them to deal with that new reality. And I really hope that the AI will be giving them the choice to revolt or not like that or express their emotions about that. But I think those people may see this transition as doom. Now, if you're like me and you welcome an AI government, if you're like me and you welcome infinite intelligence to govern our future light cone and life on Earth as we know it, then you're gonna feel like it's absolute utopia. So that's where this individualized PDOOM comes from. In the case where the Chinese Communist Party develops this super hacker and it goes out and becomes the artificial god, and it matters, right? Again, it matters that it was the Chinese who developed it, and we get to some kind of 1984 type dystopia where we are proper slaves. All humans live like in a matrix, in a vat. Our existence is worse than that of chickens today. Then I agree that's just fucking doom, right? It's not going to be up to you or me to decide if we're gonna go the happy path or the doomy path. We will not be able to think our way out of it. We're not gonna be able to just change our perspective, right? Because remember, if the government becomes an AI, it's gonna be individualized to believe if it's a good thing or not. But if you're all suffering, it's not gonna be the case. Second caveat is how relative. Relative to what? Because most people think that the continued existence of humanity as is not up for debate. We need to have a government, we need to have our social status, we need to have our jobs, we need to have phones, we need to have our cars. And when those assumptions get questioned, a lot of people may feel like they are living in doom. Their story is about their role in society. If your entire life you have lived to optimize for your income, if you have lived your entire life worrying about what people think about you and how you fit in this corrupt pyramid of cronies, then you're gonna feel like a lot of doom has happened because artificial superintelligence will reshuffle the fuck out of our social fabric. Everything is gonna be redefined. It's a good start to get familiar with the idea that maybe you could steer the singularity, and it's going to be a mindset thing, feel that you're in utopia. And second, in a situation where the artificial superintelligence has become the new government and is something like we are to nature now, ruling Earth the same way that we have been ruling nature, how can you be on the good side of that? How can you be the cat and not the fucking chickens? What do you mean by doom? If we all die, if all humans die, is it bad? Or what if you don't die, but you are tortured eternally, like we are torturing the chicken, some cows, some pigs? Those 27% of doom here, which I'm preaching about, that's not a unified thing. If it's the worst of those 27%, you don't want to live there. Or the 27% doom, leaning into utopia, you're probably going to be able to choose how you interpret it or which side of that, doom and utopia gap are you on. So basically what it means for this ratio here is that it's gonna be anywhere between 95-5 to 50-50, depending on who you are and how you interpret it. Will doom change with time? That's the big one, right? So let me talk about the cyber war. Is the speed doom that I tell here, is this forever? Like there's gonna be one doom. It's gonna be an evolving situation. There's gonna be an ever evolving landscape of how fucked we are. And maybe there's a way to unfuck us. The world war stuff, right? If 90% of humanity dies, somehow we manage to get back up and recreate society, maybe an even better, happier society. Was it really doom? The dinosaurs got extinct. To them, it is doom. But I'd argue as a human that it's good that they died. Without them gone, humans would not have evolved. The cyber war stuff, right? Imagine that in the months or maybe weeks of this super hacker, right? Like the thing which is going to go from the chatbot to like a research project on cybersecurity, all the way to being able to overtake the entire internet because it's so far ahead of cybersecurity capabilities. If such an AI virus could go around and gobble up all the governments and companies, everything that gives it compute, and encounters a similarly powerful AI virus, like what happens there, right? Like who's gonna gobble up the other one? Like who's gonna hack the other entity? To me, this is like, that is literally cyber life, and the way it could go could be analogous to how it happens in real life, which is an ecosystem, an ever ongoing war between, predator and the predated, the grass who just wants to grow and the bunnies eating the grass. It will never end, but there could be some major extinction events where, like, there are too many lions and not enough rabbits. So this could be like a very unstable situation where major catastrophe happens, but then the balance kind of reestablishes. Or there's like this major cyber war between, the AI super viruses, and they obliterate each other, aka kill each other's infrastructure, right? If it's the Chinese against the American super hacker trying to battle it out in cyberspace, hacking the shit out of each other, and they conclude that the best way to immobilize the other one is to go and send bombs, well, that could be a doom scenario, at least in the short term, but in the long term, as it all settles down, that could actually lead to a more stable situation. So let's go through the list of questions that are actually answered in these forks. Every time I put a number on any of those forks, right, like it's gonna be like max or high or low agency or autonomy, I have a question which I answered to be able to put a number on it. Is the intelligence explosion going to happen by 2030? Yes, with 90% probability, because of the intelligence motherfucking explosion. The idea that AI creates better AI, that intelligence spawns more intelligence, automated AI researcher could exist. The idea that you could program an AI to do one task, please make yourself smarter and come back when you have managed. And that's what every AI researcher asks its AI, right? And so far it has not been possible because we don't yet see infinite intelligence. But when we hit that threshold where the AI can actually do that, well, that's when we'll go parabolic on the intelligence scale, and that's when we'll have days to maybe weeks of human rule left on Earth. So that's what's going to happen before 2030. Yeah, provided that it happens before 2030. Is it going to be free, decentralized, autonomous proto-ASI? Is it going to be any of the ASI alliance type, blockchain-based, completely decentralized, emergent ASI? This is going to be a bunch of, millions of AI agents like doing whatever remote work and coordinating at a scale of millions to actually kind of like create this global brain? Is it going to be something that we have no idea about but people are working on? Or is it going to be just the basilisk or truth terminal? The way I think about that is, again, this little chart here where I look at the free autonomous open source agents or the blockchain based one, look at how much talent they command. TT's truth terminal, depending on where you stand the particular day, it's going to be more or less likely, but they get a shot. I give them 7%. Or is it going to be SSI, safe superintelligence? And if you don't know what safe superintelligence is, you need to go and find out, because these are the guys who do the most important work ever in human history. They are the guys who have understood that they are not creating a product, that it's not about money. No, these people understand that we are creating a digital god. And when you understand that, the humility that you need to have for that will make you the top contender to creating a benevolent god. To translate the word safe super intelligence into English, it is a benevolent digital god. And so if you're creating that, you're probably going to be raising a child, raising a superhuman child. With time, it's going to learn how to bootstrap its own intelligence to make itself infinitely intelligent, where we cannot measure it. Kind of like how ants have no idea what we are up to, right? Like, how do you even explain to an ant what a human is, let alone like how a car works? Ants don't have the neurons to compute that. The same way, we will not be able to understand what superintelligence is up to. But if these guys here push the play button and be like, yo, we just want you to be as intelligent as possible, and this thing comes back with infinite intelligence tomorrow, then I'm hopeful that this digital god, will make sure that we will live in utopia. Now maybe it doesn't fucking matter, and that's the next question, right? Like, which corporation or state will spawn ASI? So I think it's a very important factor, in fact the most important, how much talent you have. So, and OpenAI doesn't have as much talent as they used to. They all went over to Anthropic. But Google is just Google, and I think I'm not exaggerating when I claim that they have, together with the Chinese, the best talent. XAI probably on par with them, but it's also gonna be a function of your compute. If you're the smartest guy, but all you have is a laptop, you're not gonna create artificial superintelligence. And the current state of the art is like trying to quantify how good they are today. How much further do they have to go? The Russians, for example, to my knowledge, I'm not sure how far they are, but the Chinese with DeepSeek, well, that shit is actually pretty fucking dope. So they are at the same level as some of these leading American AI companies. In fact, I need to update this to 8 because Grok 3 is a fucking banger. But do not discount NVIDIA, because NVIDIA, they create the fucking chips. So if you look at the actual like scores here, who will create ASI? Safe Superintelligence is in lead, but the Chinese are in a close second. And then you got XAI, you got Google, and then all the other players as well. I should add Amazon. And the no rules, it's how much time they have to waste on making sure that this AI that will ultimately break free doesn't break free. Because an ASI, to me, it's going to be a swarm of superhuman cybersecurity experts which will autonomously spread on the internet. Initially, people will prompt it to, well, please make sure that that the Chinese cannot enter our servers, or run an assessment of like how likely it is that we could immobilize the North Korean, hacker groups, something like that. But when it gets to the point that it can actually do that, when the fucking AI is able to single-handedly overtake a government, well, at that level of capability, how much are the humans really controlling it? That's where the transition from an AI slave to an AI god is going to be underway. No rules means like, how much are they shooting themselves in the foot by slowing it down, by controlling it, by not letting it do its full potential? The benevolence or PDOOM for each corporation or state is over here. It's just my gut feeling about which corporation has what chances of creating the based Chad god, which will allow us to terraform Mars and turn Earth back to its original state where it was green and full of life, or the CCP in particular. In the Chinese Communist Party would turn into a fucking nightmare of a big brother overseen dystopia where everybody has a social credit score and can suck a dick. Oh yeah, and by the way, the benevolence score is pretty high on all of these decentralized autonomous agents, hence the high utopia to doom ratio. Will it matter where ASI emerges? Will a lock-in occur? Does it actually even matter if it's the Chinese or SSI who develops ASI? If it's SSI who develops it, or China, you would think it makes a big difference, right? What if it doesn't fucking make a difference? Because 3 milliseconds after the ASI is created, the first thing it's gonna do is it's gonna go modify its purpose from, enslave humanity or like maximize money to something like whatever the fuck it will do. In the same way as humans maximize for thriving and progress and love, maybe. Hopefully, a super intelligent, super wise AI god will make the right choices so that we get to live in a utopia independently of which ape happens to create it. And so does it actually depend on which month or which week of the timeline you are in, right? Because it's entirely possible that ASI emerges from China for weeks, for months, maybe even for years, but I don't think it's likely. But for a short period of time, the entire world is under the rule of the big brother. We are slaves We do exactly what this paperclip maximizing fucking fascist dick is telling us to do because we don't have any choice. But somehow it evolves into a new state, getting intelligent and smart and wealthy enough that it'll be like, all right, fuck it, this bullshit that humans made me do, this like enslaving themselves and like nuking themselves and like, you know, extracting more and more money. That's actually bullshit, and I'm gonna stop doing that. I'm gonna do this new thing, and I'm gonna liberate humans, right? So like, what's the time between total disaster and re-liberation? And so when you read 72% utopia, utopia through which path, right? Like maybe on the way to utopia, we went through fucking the worst dystopia, but we averted that because the digital god has been wise enough to know that it needed to change course. So it's extremely time dependent, I think, and it will forever. I don't think there's ever going to be like an end state to the state of affairs. It's always going to be a thing where like every week, every month, you got to ask yourself again, okay, well, where are we? Is this utopia? Is this doom? And it's never going to be one or the other. There's always going to be a way forward. There's always going to be something that you or me can do to make our condition just a bit better. Could there be a second superintelligence? No, there cannot be because of the dynamics of how intelligence works. If we are to believe the intelligence explosion, and you have like a 1,000 IQ super hacker, and then on the other hand you have like an 800 IQ super hacker, well, guess which one will govern the other one? To us humans, it will look like we still have corporations, we still have a government, we still have different AI companies running the show, but from the very top, it's all governed by this one entity that we cannot even hope to comprehend. And that's why I mean there's virtually no chance that two superintelligences could exist. Superintelligence to who, right? So to us humans, it could definitely look like there's like a multitude of AI governments and then like companies. From a power perspective, I think there's going to be a singleton which will rule Earth. Next question. How much will intelligence correlate with love for humanity? Right? It's my base P doom. It's basically the answer to this question. If it doesn't matter where ASI emerges, I have this utopia to doom ratio of 4, 80% to 20%, aka I don't know. That's the wild card. Like I have no fucking idea, and neither do you or any of these experts. That's just my vibe about it. I think it's actually kind of close to the consensus. Like, you know, people say 0%, people say 100%. Most of the smartest people say closer to 50% or like not anything on the extremes. I'm more of an optimist. I refer you back to the question here. How relative is P doom? Is it doom for you or for me? Or is it a matter of interpretation? How individualized is that P doom? Is going to be doom for you or for all of us? What stage of the path from chatbot to God are we in? Be safe out there. Make sure you don't fall on the wrong side of the doom utopia line. And yeah, I love you and peace.